Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Anurag Kapoor podcast, where we will be exploring how AI, leadership, and human wisdom come together. Today, I'm joined with someone I've worked very closely with, and he's a friend, Saurabh Yadav. We'll talk about what's real, what's hype in AI, and how it's really shaping the world of digital analytics, an area of expertise for Saurabh. Um, so I'd really like to welcome my colleague and my friend Saurabh. Uh, Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Uh, Thrilled to be part of your podcast series. I'll say congratulations on kicking off this series.
Well, thank you so much, Saurabh. I couldn't really have thought of a better person than you. Yeah, you're a friend and a colleague, and it's really great to it has been really great to work with you. So to kick things off, right? We've seen I mean, you've really seen the world of digital analytics, right? More specifically, evolve, right? And with AI coming into the foray right now over the last few years, right? What are the key sort of changes that you're really seeing, or what are the key trends that you're seeing happening in this particular field?
So I think, Manraj, that's a great question. I mean, I've seen the world moving from what we used to report after the things has happened to today, wherein we are deciding what will happen next. So I think that I'll call that as the biggest shift, wherein I have witnessed in digital analytics the move from reporting what happened to deciding what will happen next. Now, I'll take an example for this. So, in the initial days when I started 10, 12 years back in digital analytics, it was everything which was descriptive. Let's say a user comes, particularly talking about digital commerce, user will come, you will measure the sessions a day later, you will measure how many page views he has done or what else he has browsed on your website. Mostly it was looking backward to an era in between wherein we moved to a concept of machine learning and predictive modeling wherein you started forecasting the outcomes in form of churn predictions, lifetime value models. To currently wherein AI engines they are just not predicting. They decide and probably with help of agentic they act as well, right? So this is the first biggest transition that I have seen in the ways of how we used to measure analytics, right? Second is from data silos to completely integrated enterprise systems. Let's take an example. Let's take an example from the marketing, right? There are different marketing platforms that used to exist. Meta, Google, your analytics platforms used to exist, but all these were not connected or talking to each other. Uh, but today, I'll take examples of Google AI bidding, your Meta Advantage Plus.
Yeah.
Every time your analytics platform in real time is talking to these platforms, adjusting the bidding and probably offering the best, be in terms of your targeting, be in terms of the creative rendering. So I'll say the second important aspect is that we have moved from data silos to completely integrated enterprise platforms. Uh, and uh, third is again, people used to think about channels, digital channels, offline channels, marketing channels, right? Now, today is the era wherein we are not bothered much about the channels because it's an interconnected world. As I said, data is not silo.
Yeah.
Now it is that the biggest shift is customer level thinking. We have moved from this channel level thinking to the customer level thinking. And in all this, when I say customer level thinking, in all this experimentation is playing a big role. So the culture of experimentation across organizations is picking up pace. So these are certain pointers on which I think is the biggest shift happened when it comes to digital analytics.
Well, sort of you shared a lot of important sort of trends over there. I think each one of them are very important to pick on. But are you really seeing that organizations are ready for the shift in AI, and or are they still experimenting? I mean, is it only talk, or is it really seeing? Are you seeing this in action?
AI adoption is widespread when it comes to papers, uh, talking about projects, but I
Hmm.
still feel like that organizations are not fully prepared. So when everyone, I mean not everyone, I'll rather correct myself, when most of the leaders they talk about AI, it's generally the pilot projects they are talking about. Still, the enterprise level integration of AI is not there, right? So many are still experimenting across. And what I feel like is that it's the readiness of that particular organization. And
Right.
when I say readiness, it's probably because of the legacy systems they are using, data is not connected, shifting of mindset of the people, because most of the employees or the skill sets that prevails in the organization requires an inherent shift from their legacy traditional skills to 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 the more AI oriented skills, right?
Right.
So it's the organizational inertia as well, which is prevailing out there, and we have to tackle that. So these are a
Right.
couple of factors I think wherein which I'll take into consideration when I said that organizations are talking about AI on a very small pilot level projects, but they are not fully ready yet.
Right, right, right. No, that is something which I've also seen in my world as well, in terms of, that many organizations talk about AI. They look at proof of concepts. They look at, they're also talking about AI readiness from a very sort of superficial perspective, in terms of saying that, let let people get used to AI tools
Correct,
such as ChatGPT and Gemini and things such as that. Whereas what they're not really seeing is or what they're not trying to implement is the fundamental change that is required across the organization, right? But
correct,
before we come to that, what does it really mean for the people? Because, I'm sure the people within organizations are quite overwhelmed, right? I mean, um, there's so much hype. I wouldn't say hype, but there's so much talk about AI in every single platform, right? Whether it's B2B organizations, B2C organizations, everyone is
right,
talking about it, right? And it's really in our face. And I think the other issue that organizations are probably facing is that it's progressing so rapidly that you're unable to, or evolving so rapidly that you're unable to get a hook, or get a sense of where we are going, or where do I stand. So what do you think, how are the people feeling in this? Because they're an important element of how this AI is going to be deployed or executed within an organization.
I mean, rightly said, Anurag. I mean, as organizations are preparing themselves for this era of AI,
Mhm.
so are the employees, because when organizations talk about AI readiness, probably they depends more on the employees, or primarily the probably the human intelligence rather, right?
Mhm.
So for employees, it's very pertinent at this point of time that they they stop the legacy ways of working, and they have to change their mindset as well, because right now what I have seen across the organizations for majority of the employees, AI is just about automation, right? Whereas AI is all about moving a step ahead from what probably the data is saying. So rather than just automating the things, you have to get in touch and keep abreast of what AI world is talking about. Let's take an example of digital commerce, right? You should be on forefront of AI personalization. Personalization was there, employees was talking about personalization, but when it comes to AI powered personalization, it's a bit different. It's not just that what the user wants. You have to identify who that user is, and even before he is browsing or giving a hook to you, you should predict his needs, right? So that's how the employees probably think. So probably two parts is important, which I'll say is skilling themselves from the employee perspective, which I think employees are doing, but they have to do it in a way that they can keep a pace with the fast moving world of AI. And two is they have to come and think of the use cases in which they can utilize the UI, not just sorry AI, not just the automation part of it.
And in terms of training, so do you think organizations are giving enough training to their employees and people? I mean, what have you seen in your world at least? Are they getting enough training in that? Because there's a fundamental fear in people as well that AI is going to replace them.
Correct. Yeah, you are right, and I think organizations across. I mean, I'm working in UAE currently, and I feel like that this GCC region is bit ahead when it comes to AI,
Mhm.
particularly UAE, because right now if you have seen, there's a lot of news about AI being I mean, UAE being a leader in AI industry right now, right?
Right,
Most of
right.
the tech companies are heading towards. There's a lot of tech talent which is proficient in AI out here. So from this region perspective, I'll say yes, there are organizations who are investing a lot in upskilling their employees. Now that upskilling is very different from, let's say, employees should learn Python to get themselves familiar
Mhm.
with AI. This is a bit different from the perspective on how efficiently you can use AI. So basic concepts of machine learning, basic concept of stats, they should be taught, which is actually happening out here, so that they can keep a pace with not just the programming language, but the brain or the large language models behind it, right? So organizations in this region are spending a lot on it.
Okay, that's interesting. That is very interesting. And one other question, I mean, you touched upon it earlier, which is about data silos, legacy systems, right, and lack of governance. I think that plays a lot into an organization's AI readiness, right? I mean,
Right,
I've been working in areas where working with organizations to help them make AI ready, and we look at various different sort of parameters within that. One is looking at strategy, right, vision of the organization. The other is looking at data ecosystems, right, looking at tools and
correct,
technologies, people, and then governance, right. um, and often what I find is that organizations are stuck by actually just looking at two things: either just pumping in money in terms of saying, okay, we need to do something about AI, so get the right sort of tools, technologies, but really not tied to the vision, right?
correct,
Or they're working on mindless experimentation, and CXOs are giving probably mandates to people within the organization. Okay, let's do something in AI, right? And or
correct,
we need to infuse AI within the organization, but there's no well thought strategy within that.
correct,
And and so, what do you think organizations need to do from that aspect, right? In terms of making themselves AI ready in a very thoughtful manner, right? Which takes along, both the people, the processes, right? And also the governance behind it, so that you can actually achieve some ROI from that, from all that money that you're spending.
correct. So, I mean, that's a very important question, Anurag, that you have touched upon. So, I'll say one big thing is the shift from this opinion-based mindset to a decision, data-driven, and experimentation-based culture. So,
Yeah.
for utilizing AI, I think it's very important for the organizations to have a proper hypothesis, right? As we used to say always in data that we have a
Yeah.
hypothesis which we term as null hypothesis, and we
Mhm.
always accept or reject a null hypothesis, right?
Yeah.
So create hypothesis, because the best, I mean not the best ideas, but rather test couple of ideas, because if they are tested, if they are tested, these ideas can bring value for you. So probably create an hypothesis on proper business cases for you. Experiment a lot. Rapid experimentation, I'll say, is a second key point. Third
Mhm.
is, do not be afraid of the failures of these experimentations that you have done, because
Mhm.
every experiment you fail can be treated as a data. We
Right.
always talk about good data, but this failed data or experimentations that failed can serve as a base for good use cases that you can test upon in the future, right?
Mhm.
So take failed experimentation as a data source for you. And last thing is very important is collaboration. Now,
Right.
now AI sits on top of every, or it's a vertical for every uh, uh, business unit in an organization. So it's a collaborative effort. So when you are deciding about this hypothesis, experimentation, one thing is collaboration. So you should have your marketers sit, your product managers sit, your engineers, data engineering rather, sit at one
Mhm.
table and decide what can be done, how it can be done efficiently, or are you doing it in, so how we can improvise, or is it at least required as well to test these hypotheses and move at scale with AI? So these are the couple of pointers which I think is very important for the organizations if they want to succeed in this era of AI. So that's a cultural shift probably I was talking
Virtual trip
about.
for the organization. And you mentioned a very important point,
Yeah.
to get everybody, marketeers, engineers, and, leadership all in one room.
Yes.
That often is very difficult for organizations to do. Um,
Correct.
right. They're just, they tend to work in silos and they don't collaborate. But that's a very important point. I think leadership now needs to move towards seeing how they can actually collaborate across business units, across different departments within the organization, and seeing how everyone is really talking to each other.
From my perspective, this cultural shift is more important than the technology itself. And
Yeah,
if you try to bypass this cultural shift, it will create a compounding advantage for you, not just in a short time, on a longer period as well.
right, right, right. Absolutely, absolutely. One other area is, the other thing that happens in many organizations is that in the move towards, okay, let's having AI and everything, right?
Mm.
You're always trying to over-engineer um, something which is already working, right? So over automation, right, for something which is working, right? I came across an example very recently, which is about the toaster and the washing machine, right? Which is really saying that the toaster
Mhm.
actually is just doing the same job as, you could have actually toasted a toast on the pan earlier, but it's just the toaster is a new invention. It just does the same thing as it was done before, quite efficiently, actually, even in the past. Right. But the washing machine is what really was game changing because it really freed up the workforce. It was
Correct.
effective.
Mm.
It allowed more productivity within the lives of people. Now, so from that perspective, do you think there is also uh, an issue of over automation or over engineering something which is not broken? Are you seeing that happening or no?
I mean, over automation, over engineering, I mean, it's happening right now. And probably I'll take a step back and I'll tell you how and why this is actually happening.
Hmm.
Right. So many a times what is happening is, I mean, you have a very poor data quality, you have a legacy platforms, which is not supportive of what your use case or your intention is when it comes to the adoption of the AI in your organization, right? So you don't have a clear AI strategy. For you, the AI, as I was saying in my earlier point, AI sometimes is a kind of is being treated as synonymous to automation, right? So lack of clear AI strategy, your legacy platforms, your poor data quality,
Hmm.
your change management and adoption resistance is very key, because when these things are not organized or not happening in a sequential manner, as I just said, that's when comes the question of over automation, because you never knew what was actually desired output from your automation, or rather what you call it as
Hmm.
AI adoption. So
Hmm.
so all these factors are pertinent, and the most important on top of everything is that many jump into many lot of people, they jump into AI without defining problem statements, their KPIs, business ROI that they want, and what they end up is in results in random experiments instead of some scalable solutions. That's where this over automation happens.
Right, 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 right. Sorry. And and coming back to the world that you're working in, can you give me one or two good examples of where you're seeing AI really making a difference? Something that can bring to life to our audience how AI is working within the digital world.
There are a lot of use cases in RAW which I've seen, and not many organizations are doing this. But let's take an example. I mean, without naming anyone, I'll say, I mean, I was looking into this personal care and the beauty brand. What they are doing is they are utilizing the AI-powered skin tone analysis, and they do the virtual try-ons as well. I've
Hmm.
seen this happening probably 5 or 6 years back when AI was not the buzzword. In one of the largest e-commerce company back in India as well, what they were doing is they were not the e-commerce company, but the glassware company. What they were doing, they were identifying the faces using the facial recognition, trying on the
Yeah.
glasses. But now that is happening on a different level. I was talking about this personal care brand. They are identifying your skin tone and probably suggesting the products for you. You can try it on, and you can see how after trying you will look. Right. So that's a
Wow.
very, very good example I've seen. Second is this global e-commerce company. I mean, everyone knows about it probably. Rather, I like to say it, Amazon, let's say. Amazon has
Right.
moved, if you have seen 5, 6 years back, they were giving recommendations like that people viewed this, so you should buy
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Customers like you have purchased this, so you go ahead and do this. Or this is less in inventory or fast selling, so you should buy this. Two, currently, wherein they are identifying the context of the customer, what he actually intend to buy. So they are applying context, behavior, and real-time personalization right now, rather than just from for like algos like people just bought, so you should also buy. So these are the very good use cases that I'm seeing wherein AI has been implemented at scale. Because to
Mhm.
implement all this, you should have a strong customer information, your data in one place, single sources of truth. On top of that, you are running agentic AI that is bringing the pricing, that is bringing the context, that is bringing the customer information to one place in a real time, and then rendering results to you. So these are very good use cases that I've quite, I mean, that I'm seeing now coming up from these organizations.
Saurabh, thank you so much for sharing those examples. I mean, those are very powerful ones. In fact, I was at a conference earlier this year, a data conference, and what I heard from over there is that, organizations, and again, this is a lot of B2C companies, that a lot of organizations are implementing AI, right, or even Gen AI solutions, right, and even agentic AI solutions, but they are probably doing it more within the organization or trying to do it within, let's say, supply chain and procurement or in other areas, right? However, when it's customer facing, right, they're still quite afraid of actually implementing
Yes,
that solution, right? Because there's a lot more at stake, right? Because it's your brand, it's everything around
correct.
it, right? So they really want to, they're more careful over there, right? Do you think organizations are becoming more now more comfortable with implementing AI and Gen AI solutions when it's customer facing?
So when it comes to customer facing solutions, Anurag, your customer is present at multiple places, not just it's not that the customer is with you. Customer may be with your competitors at multiple other places at one point of time. So when
Hmm.
we talk about customer facing solutions, it's not just your first party data that is playing a role. You have to have better second party and third party source systems, and then you have to tighten and blend these first, second, third party data around your customers to identify the preferences of your customers. When you have to kind of knit a very good solutions from the customer point of view. So nowadays, over a period of time, organizations, they were well equipped with collecting and doing the ETL of their first party data. But right now, with real time DMP, CDPs coming to pictures, they have a very good hold on second and third party data systems, right? Now, when they are integrating these three data sources together, they actually know where the customer is, what are his actual needs, at what point of time, what the customer will need. So right now they are moving from the recommendations basis approach that was just consistently basis on the first party data to real
Hmm.
time intent prediction. And that is all happening because of this closely knit multiple data sources about their customer. So that is the reason right now I'll say that organizations has moved from customer facing solutions 1.0 to 2.0, wherein they have their customer data, they know where the customer is right now. And that is
Right.
the reason why this more I mean you more often see the customer facing solutions at this point of time.
With AI, what it means is that you have access to more information, right? And faster
Correct.
information, right? And also information and data from multiple different sources, right? It doesn't mean that, your job will become obsolete or you're going to become
No,
obsolete, right? What
no,
it
yeah,
only means is that, you have more to work with,
yeah,
and
correct,
therefore the insights that you can come up with, or the kind of changes that you can make within the organization, or the kind of impact you can have within the organization is greater, right? And therefore, I think what people probably need to do is start looking at how they can obviously know about these tools and how to better use AI within those tools and across the data sets that they have, and see how they can actually implement that data and
correct.
those insights within the organization to actually make a meaningful impact. That's
That's
great.
that's rightly said. I like to add one line on top of it, right? So I think everyone is talking about jobs getting obsolete, or the employee will no longer be required. But I think we have to keep pace with what is coming to us. We built models in the past, right? Now models get more powerful when the real innovation comes from AI. And the human intelligence, when you put into those powerful tools, that
Hmm.
human intelligence can't be replaced by AI. You should
Yeah.
put down the human intelligence to tell the models that, okay, this is my business nuisances. This is what uncertainty looks like for me in business. And then build those models wherein those models can escalate back to the humans any anomalies. The model should ask for more context back to the humans. So it's like a complementary approach between human intelligence and AI. So probably I'll say that every employee should upskill himself, identify the levers that can be put forward in terms of the use cases which he is working upon, improvise the work. That's how it will continue.
Right, right, right. No, Saurabh, thank you so much. That is really, really good. And I think that dovetails very nicely into another podcast that we'll probably have, which is about the combination of human intelligence and AI. So thank you so much for that. And Saurabh, thank you for your time. It was lovely speaking with you. And you've been a great friend every time. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Anurag.
And to my guests, thank you so much for listening in to us. And we'll come back with another interesting discussion around AI, leadership, and wisdom. This is Anurag Kapoor from the Anurag Kapoor podcast. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye.